So we're going to continue in Siman Kuf Tzadik Vav Hilchas Niddah. This is a Siman of where a woman gets ready to check herself before she goes to the mikveh, a very important stage in the process of becoming clean. We have already spoken about that the average woman sees blood for about 4 or 5 days, depending on her age. However, the time frame for going to the mikveh today is after Shiva Nekiyim have been waited for. In other words, after she checks herself and she determines that there's no more blood, she still has to wait Shiva Nekiyim, 7 clean days. This concept of Shiva Nekiyim really applies to a Zava. It does not apply to a Niddah. A woman, according to the Din of the Torah, is unclean for 7 days as a result of being a Niddah, regardless of how much blood she had or how many days she saw. She could see dam for 7 straight days. If she stops, she can go to the mikveh. She becomes clean. Today, because of the various chumras, the halachas relating to Niddah are a little bit different than they were way back in the past. So today a woman waits 5 days plus 7, whether it's her period, whether it's a ketem, a stain for which she has to stay, for which she is machmir, for which she has to wait until it's completely gone, until she's completely clean. So the din of ksamim is similar to the din of Niddah, except that in ksamim one can be lenient in all kinds of circumstances where there are kulas, since ksamim are derabanan. Here, however, we want to determine that her ma'ayan, where the blood comes from, has indeed closed, that there will be no longer blood coming out. And in order to do that, a hefsek tahara is done. Question was, in the last year we spoke about the din of hefsek tahara, if it's really me'ikar adin, or if it's just to determine, just to be on the safe side, to be sure, that she's completely clean and that it's not going to be flowing anymore. Various opinions as to why this is done. According to the Taaruvot Aruch, it's mashma that it's midrabanan, the whole idea of hefsek tahara. How the hefsek tahara is done is also discussed by the Rishonim and Achronim. We have the idea of moch dachuk, that is inserted inside, close to ben hashmashos, right before shkia, which is a very, very important time that a woman has to keep in mind, that she doesn't skip the hefsek tahara, the timing of it, because if it goes into the night, she's already missed that 1 day, that first day that she could potentially count for Shiva Nekiyim. So assuming that she did everything right time-wise, the question is, does she have to do anything other than just wash herself and clean herself and check herself? So that the idea of moch dachuk came up, where according to some opinions it's just to be on the safe side, that in fact everything has stopped completely. So by inserting that piece of cloth inside the mokum, the oisam mokum, before shkia, and leaving it there for a little bit of time, one can be sure that the dam has stopped and the Shiva Nekiyim can proceed. In other words, the counting of the 7 days can begin as of that night.
So then it's not even required the Rabbanan.
The moch dachuk is not an obligation. No. Yeah. It's just a good idea, as the Mechaber says, that's how one should train his household, that's the way the checking should be done. And it should be there throughout the whole ben hashmashos, because this takes out of all sfeikas. We asked the question that, why is all of this really, really necessary? Ultimately, she has a chazaka. The Rabbit says that once the days of Niddah are gone, once the blood is gone, why should we be choishish that maybe she might see more? During the 7 Yemei Niddah, or however many days that she sees, damel mismarkin, he says. In other words, her blood is emptied. So after that she has a din of mesulekes. So why would there need to be a question or a suffix as to whether she may still have blood? She's becheskes tahara. She really has a chazaka of being clean. So some say that as long as she didn't do any bdika, there's always a suffix. There's a suffix. Maybe lo nista mayon. Maybe the mayon, or where the blood comes out, was not completely closed, and she continues to see. In the Sefer Siddur Tahari brings down the Zichron Yosef, who says that Lamaisa we go after the majority of women. In the majority of women, the blood does stop after 5 or 6 days. So, based on that, on the Roiv of Noshim, we already figured that she probably is not going to see anymore. So why do you need a Bdika? Midrabbanan. So the whole Bdika appears to be a requirement of the Rabbanan.
Well, I thought that was the understanding of Hatchila. The question was, why did the Rabbanan institute it?
Just to be on the safe side. That's all. Yeah. According to the Rambam, it's not understood that way. According to the Tosfos Rosh, some other opinions, it's mashma that it's a Rabbanan. But the question is, if she has a chazaka, or if there is a roiv here, then why require it altogether? So, to be on the safe side. We had the Chazon Ish, remember, that also said that today, because of the Chumash of Rav Zera, every woman is a suffix zava anyway. So the hefsek Tahara is needed me'ikar adin. It's not just a chumrah. He was mechalek between an isha that has a veset and one that does not have a veset. A woman that has a veset kavua, yes, most likely it stopped. We know exactly how long it lasts. Some women have a veset kavua, yes. How often?
Is a large segment of the female population doesn't have a...
No, today not that many. No.
It's not very common.
Today it's not as common as it used to be in the past. In the past it was actually very common. Yeah. Today there's all kinds of changes in the...
Because of the food we eat?
I'm not sure. It's just that, as the Gemara says, we have this concept of nishtane ateva, that the nature has changed. It's a concept that is applicable in many areas of halacha. That some things that were common in the past, or some things that were done in certain ways in the past, are no longer done or no longer a concern because the nature has changed. What does nature mean? The nature of people, the atmosphere, the food we eat.
But this particular problem is a more recent change.
Yeah. Or the Veset Kavua versus not Kavua is more recent, yes.
It's more recent.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. There are situations, however, where if the dam is coming from a makkah, presents all kinds of complications, as we will see in this Siman too. Not only dama makkah is an issue during the month, as far as the veset, is this a veset, is this dama makkah, why is she bleeding, where is it coming from, can you be toile a ketem on a makkah? So dam coming from makkah is an issue as it is. When it comes to bdika, it becomes even more of a concern because she wants to be clean before she starts shiva nekiim. And here she's spotting, and here she still sees dam. How is she ever going to be clean? Unless the hefsek tahara does come out clean. Then we have the shiva nekiim, the 7 clean days. What if there's spotting there? Which we'll talk about now. That there's a difference between spotting during the first 3 days versus later. But technically, Shiva Nakim should be completely clean from any spots, even from kasomim, from stains. So what happens if she has a makkah during that time? Can she ever go to the mikveh? So, these issues come up. Sometimes it's complicated. And there are many, many halachas regarding situations where, as we've spoken before, where a woman may not be able to easily become pregnant as a result of a very extended waiting period before she goes to the mikveh. Then what do? Is there any way that waiting period can be shortened? Which we'll talk about, I think, next time. Towards the end of this Siman, we talk about the whole idea of why one needs to wait 5 days before beginning the 7 clean days. What if she only saw blood for 2 days? What is the purpose of the 4 or 5 days? That is a requirement according to everybody. There's different opinions of whether it's 4 or 5. And obviously if the blood continues on for 6 or 7 days, she has no choice. But assuming the average woman who sees, let's say she's seen blood only for 3 days, why does she still have to wait 4 or 5? So that can make a difference, whether she will become pregnant or not, and that is an area that we need to look at a little closer, which we will, B'ezrat Hashem. Can it be shortened under any circumstances? Alright, then we went on to explain how the Zman Abdika, the time that she checks herself, should be as close as possible to the end of the day. And it's mashma from the Gemara that the day that she saw, in other words, if on that last day that she saw, so Kol HaYom U'B'Cheskas Roya, So she doesn't. In other words, she can't get a head start. Once she sees, if she saw on that day, then the whole day is like gone. So to do a real hefsek tahara would have to at the earliest be at the end of that day, assuming that she will not see the next day. So that is why lechatchila one needs to do the bdika close to bein hashmashos, within a half an hour, and not to make it too early during the day. Obviously, there are situations that if she couldn't check herself, she will not have the means, the ease to check herself close to the shkia. She can check herself early during the day, if in fact it stopped bleeding, including the morning. What was important is that she not missed the shkia. In other words, that the checking should be done before shkia, because once it's after shkia, it's too late, and that day, the following day, is she's still unclean. So this was pretty much what we covered last time. We're holding Sivov. Kol b'dikas elu bein b'dikas hefsek tahara bein b'dikas kol hashiva tzrichos liyos bebeged pishton lovon yoshon or b'tzemen gefen or b'tzemen lovon naki verach. All the checking that she does, whether it's the checking of hefsek tahara, whether it's the checking that she will do continuously during the shiva nekiyim, need to be with a cloth that is made out of linen, white, older, or with cotton, or wool, soft. Why? Why not use polyester?
It absorbs so well.
Exactly. Polyester will not absorb so well the blood. So we want something that will absorb, something that we can detect if it's blood or not. In other words, it should be white. And it's something that should not be too rough. It should be soft.
So it doesn't cause an injury.
Exactly. If it's rough, right, abrasive, I guess the word would be, it could cause trouble. Instead of determining that whether she's clean or not, she gets herself into more trouble by using the wrong cloth. And she should insert it deep to all the crevices ad mokom shashamash dash, until pretty much the physical location where the man is able to get to. Approximately that's where usually she should be able to reach with her own fingers. And she should check im yesh bo shum mar'eh admumit, and she should take a look to see if there's any redness on it. And v'lo shetachniso me'at lekaneach atzma. And it's not just about putting it in and just to clean herself. She actually has to do a good job. I think Chasam Sofer brings down that the way to do it is by putting one leg on a chair, raising herself a little bit where she's able to get a little bit deeper in. In other words, it should not just be a superficial cleaning. She should insert it as far as she can. Now, if it's difficult for her, if it's difficult for her to put it in so deeply, so לפחות בדיקת של יום הפסק טהרה ובדיקה של יום ראשון מהשבעה תהיינה עד מקום ששמשת. At least the Mechaber is aware, and I think he discusses it more at length in Beis Yosef, that it may be difficult for some women to do a very, very thorough, deep check. So he says at the very least, the bdika of hefsek tahara and one bdika of the Shiva Nekim on the first day should be ad mokum shashamash dash.
Now it seems that he's defining the point up to which investigation she has to investigate.
Yes.
Rather randomly, because ad mokum shashamash dash depends more or less on who her husband is.
Right.
How he sized.
Yes.
So there doesn't seem to be a sheer compensatory shear for how far she has to actually go inside. It's to be rather random.
Well, it is more of a shear. In other words, it's to eliminate any superficial check.
Who said it's his size?
In other words, it's not so much. No, it's not so much a particular size. It's more of the amount of area that she has to cover.
What's the shamash dash?
That's as far as the man goes.
The man's limb?
Right.
A man, not necessarily her man.
Right.
Well, how would she know another man's how far is it?
No, it's just it's approximate. Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's approximate.
That's what I'm saying. It's approximate.
It's approximate.
It's not a hard.
Right, exactly. Yes, yes.
Particular shear. It doesn't
Yeah.
say 3 centimeters, 5 centimeters.
No, not in this case, no.
So given that it's more or less, there's no fixed shear.
Yeah.
What's the point of going so deep then?
I'll tell you why. I was going to say that next.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a machlokes rishonim really as to the ofen habdika. In other words, the manner in which such a bdika really needs to be done. The Ravid says you don't need bdikas chorin usdaki. The bdika that the woman does here, hefsek tahara, she does not really have to be very, very deep at all. That to check every single crevice to make sure it's completely free. The Ramban says that the hefsek tahara you do need chorin usdaki. Why? Ramban says this is an important bdika. This bdika takes her out from the cheskas of Veroya, that she was seeing blood, as opposed to the Shiva Nekiyim. The Ramban says that's not the same as hefsek tahara. So he says you need a more thorough check. Then you have the Rashba, the Rosh, I think the Smag, the Tur, quite a few others, who hold that all the bdikas should be chorin usdaki, and that's how the Mechaber was paskening here, based on this last opinion, the Rashba, the Rosh, the Smag, that all the bdikas lechatchila should be thorough bdikas. So the question is, what is a thorough bdika? So he gives us an idea of chorin, dakim, and this one, the bdika of hefsek tahara, and the first one, at least in Shiva, should be ad mokom shashamash dash. In other words, because otherwise, how much and how far do you have to really go in doing a thorough check?
So basically, the idea here is to make sure that it's not superficial.
Yes, exactly.
There's really no measure of thoroughness.
Not right. Well, this is somewhat of a measure. Yeah, it shouldn't be superficial. The Ramah says, however, im lo ostokein bebdikas yom rishon. She didn't do it that thoroughly on the first day. Taase pam achas came in bdikas shavam. She should at least do it on one occasion, one of the days of the 7 clean days. Miu b'di'evet im lo ostokein klal. If she did not do it at all, rak shebotko atzma yofa b'chorin v'stokin. She did a good job. The omek heitev. She did a thorough job, but she didn't go in all the way. As much as you can. Even though it didn't reach until the preferred requirement of shamash dashmo, until where the man reaches, that's okay, because basically she did her best. She wasn't superficial. It was somewhat thorough. If there was anything there, she probably would have seen it. So it's more of a question of, can you do better? Maybe further in there's still some leftovers. Now, when I say leftovers, that's a little tricky, because there could be leftovers from the before, and it could be new blood. That is why the chitza, washing herself, is so important. Remember we covered that last time? She has to really wash herself well, clean herself there, so there shouldn't be later on a stuff. Wait a minute, is this old stuff or is this new stuff? In other words, the mayan is still patuach. Because ultimately that's what we want to determine, that it completely stopped. And it could still be dirty. This happens. A woman comes and asks a shaila, I check myself, and what's this? This is dirt from before. Many times it could be that it's not even a stain, it's not that she's still bleeding, it just could be dirt from before. She didn't clean herself well. And we don't want to unnecessarily be machmer with a woman, by telling her, listen, you gotta wait. This is not clean. So it takes somebody who specializes, who's familiar, who has experience with this kinds of situations to figure out what he's looking at. Maybe she doesn't know how to clean herself well. That's why the kala lessons are so important. They have to be told what to do, how to do it, so there shouldn't be any unnecessary sfeikas, any unnecessary doubts. So the makor of this din of ad mokum shashamash dash is really in the Rosh. Beis Yosef brings down quite a few poskim that this is not so easy for women to do. And on the contrary, if they try to go in too deep, they may hurt themselves. So that's why the Mechaber here says if it's really difficult, you should only do it on the hefsek time, maybe just one day of the Shiva Nekiyim. As far as the cloth itself, I saw in the Shevet HaLevi, he brings down the measurement of 7 to 8 centimeters.
Wow.
To cover the area well, to absorb any blood that still may be there. In the Pischei Tshuva here, he brings down, in the name of the Yore Deah, that during the Shiva Nekiyim, a woman can be lenient and to just do a simple bdika. So there are those who are more machmir, there are those who are more lenient, but that's more in the Shiva Nekiyim. Whereas in the Hefsek Tahara, we saw the concept of moch dochuk even, which is an extra requirement, and it's a good thing to do, to make sure that there's no suffix whatsoever. You left it there for a little while, and later on, to remove it, it's completely clean. You know for sure, more likely than not, that there's no reason to doubt that the Mayan is closed and the Shiva Nekiyim can begin. Alright, Sif Zayin Neches is a situation where we should not know of it. You know, unfortunately, some women cannot see. You have blind women, you have deaf and mute, and their status is somewhat limited in Halacha. I say limited is because the fact is that they are physically limited, and because of those limitations, certain difficulties present themselves in Halacha for them. They need help. That's the bottom line. The bottom line with these women is that they are going to need help. They could be married, very happily married, but in something like this, they need a lot of help. Even though they can cook with their eyes closed, perhaps. Cooking is one thing. This is a question of a deraisa. You know, a man who's married to a woman who, even though she was able to see once upon a time, now she can't. Or even though she was able to hear once upon a time, now she can't. Their status is such that they need help.
I'm missing something, because this is a visual effect.
Exactly.
Why would deaf or mute?
I'm going to get to that. Yeah. I'm just saying right now in general, their status is different. And there's a requirement here of some sort of help from the outside to make sure that everything is done properly. So Siv Zayin is a very short Siv. Asuma bodekes atzma umara lechaverata. She can check herself, the blind woman, but she has to show it to her friend. Woman goes to the mikveh, which we'll talk about later, another time. There's somebody checking her. Even though she's already checked herself, she's made sure everything is okay, and there's no chatzitzas, there's nothing blocking her body, on her body that will interfere with the water. A woman goes through a whole procedure of making sure that she's ready for the mikveh. Nonetheless, we have a mikveh lady that double checks to see that everything is fine. So here, a woman who's blind can do the bdika, but she has to show the cloth to somebody else. Somebody else would have to help her out with that. However, it becomes a little bit more complex when you're dealing with a chereshet. What's a chereshet? Chereshet is a deaf woman. Sheshoma'at ve'ena medaberet, or shemedaberet ve'ena shoma'at. This type of chereshet that is really semi-chereshet, I call it. In other words, she hears, but she's unable to speak, or she's able to speak and she cannot hear. Harein kepikchot. Their status is as a normal, healthy woman. So, chereshet itself would depend on whether she is capable of doing certain things or not. So the Chachamim determined that if she is just hard of hearing, but she can speak, or if she cannot hear, or if she can hear, but she cannot speak, in other words, she only has one of the two limitations, then she's considered a healthy woman as far as these halachas are concerned, and other halachas, sane. Yeah. Therefore, there's no real need to help her in any particular way. She may, on her own, be able to figure everything out. That's what it means. Re'en kepichot. Aval im ena shomat ve'ena medaberet. If she does not have the two faculties, she cannot hear and she cannot speak, that is the one that we are concerned with. V'chein hashota, the same with one who has a very limited mind. Is there a better word for this? How would you translate ilan ishota?
I'd say mentally.
If she has a certain retardation.
Retardation.
Yeah. A woman who's mentally...
This would apply any kind of method.
Yeah, exactly. The shota means any kind of mental limitation. Or that she became insane, insanity, as a result of some illness. These individuals, these individuals do need healthy women, sane women, to check them out completely. And to determine or to establish their veset. So they can live with their husbands, as normal husband and wife. A man married to such a woman who has very difficult limitations mentally and so forth, obviously cannot rely on her. So this would present itself a problem. Now there's a shach that says that as far as a woman who does not have either the two faculties that we said that she needs help, this is even true even if she was born healthy and was for a number of years healthy and later on became like that, she would also fall under this category of requiring help from the outside. But there are all kinds of levels. The poskim, in discussing this halacha, do say that there may be a woman who does have certain abilities, even though she's deaf and mute. And she can manage to do certain things on her own. So every situation requires an evaluation by competent Rav to determine how much help she needs. So even though the Mechaber here just generalizes, it can be, it's very possible that certain women who are under this category may require less help. But here, what we're talking about is help not only in bdikas, we're talking about even in likvoya lahen besatot. It's very, very important. What is her vesed? What she should be expecting? She doesn't know how to keep track of this. She doesn't even know how to write, maybe. I mean, and they're married. So we obviously need to have some control here. So these are women that will need outside help from those who can, help them figure out when their vesed is and so forth. And all of this is kedesha tiyena mutarot lebaleim, so they should be mutar for their husbands. Hukva lahen vesed. Once they have a vesed, harei kishar kol nashim. Then they're like any other women. What does that mean? Just like any other woman who have a vesed, that you only have to be concerned about that day and not about any other day. Lo hukva lahen, but if there's no vesed kavua, chosheshet mishloshim yom ubodkot al yidei pikot. If there was no vesed kavua for them, then obviously the main day that they have to look out for, that they have to be chosheshes for, is every 30 days, as we've learned before, for women who don't have a vesed kavua. At the very least, you have it come once a month. But then, you also have to consider, as we saw in the Ramah and elsewhere, that there are other time frames where a woman who does not have a vesed kavua may be able to see. There could be a vesed haflaga, Yom HaChodesh, the day of the month. So even though the Mechaber doesn't mention it over here, it's obviously all inclusive. That if there's no vesed kavua, you have to be concerned about the potential of her having a vesed in any one of those possible days.
Does the help have to be female?
Well, I cannot see how some of this help could not be a female.
As opposed to her husband.
Oh, as opposed to her own husband.
Oh, suppose her own husband.
No, I think her husband, if he's knowledgeable, can do it too. But at some point in time, if she's a Niddah, remember the husband cannot help with his wife a Niddah with certain things. But there may be some things that he can do. The reason it says here Mikvaot is that usually it's women who would get involved here, who are trained, who know on their own what to do and what to look out for, whereas the man may not know as much. Yes. Depending on if she has a vesed kavua or not, would of course make a difference, as it does for other women. With a vesed kavua, there's less to be worried about. You just look out for that one day, for that one time. With a vesed which is not kavua yet, chosheshot, they have to be choshesh mishloishim yom l'shloishim yom ubotkot al yidei pikot, and again they would have to be examined by those who are sane and those who are knowledgeable, including those days, those other possible days where she may see, like the vesed ha'aflaga. Sif tes, haisha shemarba livdok ben bimei sfirata ben biyamim shelo ra'ata bahem arei zu meshubachat. A woman that checks a lot whether it's during the days that she counts, the 7 clean days, or whether it's in the days that she does not see blood. She just wants to check, make sure. It's praiseworthy, even though she has a vesed kavua. Now, all the Mechaber says is that it's a good thing. But this is not so simple. Most poskim are very clear on this. It is not advisable for a woman to overdo it, because her husband may be apprehensive. Why are you checking? What's wrong? It may lead to some difficulty in the relationship if she's overly strict and too cautious and always looking out. She has a vesed kavua. There's no reason why she should really be checking so much. So in order for the husband not to be too concerned, not to be bothered so much by the possibility that maybe she's detecting blood, it's best that she not do it too much. Unless, of course, he asks her to. That's different, Another woman who should not overdo it is a woman that has a makkah, because we're looking for ways for her to be clean. So a woman that has a makkah, first of all, she can make it worse. She can, scratch it and cause it to bleed. Plus, because she has a makkah, she's definitely going to find something. Very possible. So she should not be checking herself so much. The checking should be limited to the time when the halacha requires the checking, not more than that. Especially that she has a makkah and we're trying to make sure that she stays clean as much as possible. So the checking would be mekalka her, if anything. It would ruin her. It would make things worse for her. So that's something that, a woman that does have this kind of an issue has to be concerned about. Ultimately, she wants to go to the mikveh, and that's the right thing, for a husband and wife, to be close to each other, to be able to relate to each other intimately, and not to make it more difficult for herself. There's a lot of kulas, therefore, leniencies for situations like that. All right, Sif Yud. Ashiv'a nikiim tzarich shiyu retzufim. The 7 clean days need to be consecutive. Shelo tireh dam bahem. She should not see blood in any of those days. She'im ra'ata dam. If she did see any blood, afilu besof yom hashevi'i, even in the last day, the 7th day, satra kol hayamim. She basically undid all the clean days. Utzricha livsok b'tahara, and she has to once again have a hefsek tahara and lachzor v'limnot shiv'a nekiyim, and to count 7 clean days again. Now, had this happened in the beginning, that means she's not clean yet. But here, even if it happened at the end, what we're saying is they're all gone. The 7 nekiyim have to start all over again. All right. So what's this all about? The makor of this din is in the Gemara that says, the pasuk says, the Chachamim darshan from the pasuk, v'safra v'har tithar. After she counted, and after she becomes clean. What's this after mean? She counts and she's clean. So, what the Torah meant by achar lekulan, in other words, that there should not be any tumas ziva mafsekes beinehem. There should not be any unclean days in between. Because if she were to see after the Shiva Nekiyim, in the Torah she's a Niddah, and not a Zava. And at that point, she's not Soiteres, right? Afterward, the one who Soiteres the Shiva Nekiyim is a Zava. The Zava requires Shiva Nekiyim, not a Niddah. Today we require of a Niddah also Shiva Nekiyim, but Midim Torah, a Zava is the one who is Shiva Nekiyim. So if it happened that she became unclean during Shiva Nekiyim, she's Soiteres. In other words, the days fall off, they don't count. She has to start all over. That's 7 clean days. But if she were to see beyond the 7 days, then that seeing is Niddah blood, not Zava. So it's not Soiser, the Shiva Nekiyim.
In other words, even though she sees blood after the Shiva Nekim, she doesn't require an additional Shiva. Is that what you're saying?
Midin Torah.
Oh, so according to our
today it's different. Today, yes.
So she can go on forever.
Right. So the question, that's what they're going to ask you. The Taz asks over here, why tell us this then? She always needs Shiva Nekiyim, regardless, right? So why would the Mechaber bring here a din Torah that applies really to a Zava? What would be the nafkamina? So that's the question that we're going to see soon. Why mention this halacha? Okay, so what could possibly be the chiddush over here? The simple explanation is the Mechaber says, you know what? You need 7 clean days. You miss one, you start all over again. It's at the end, you start all over again. But maybe there's something more to it. So that's the kasha of the Taz. The Shevet HaLevi brings down the Chavas Das. I think there may be other explanations too. That he holds that dam without hargosha is soisa shiva nekiyim min Torah. Okay? Remember, dam below hargosha is the Rabbanon. Did she feel the blood coming out, or did she not feel the blood coming out? There's a big difference. He holds, there is an opinion that the dam during shiva nekiyim, even with without hargosha, is min Torah. So there's a chash d'oraisa here. If she were to see blood during the shiva nekiyim. Whereas after she completed her 7 clean days, she's only Tmeya D'Rabbanan. This will make a big difference, I believe, in the next halachas that we will cover another time, if she made a mistake. If she made a mistake and she did not count 7 days, she only counted 6, she went to the mikvah.
So you just said if she sees blood within the 7 days of Shuchan Aruch,
right,
then she is a Niddah or a Zava?
No, she's a well, today it's a suffix, right?
No, he says it's really D'Oraisa.
He said that Shiva Nekim is a D'Oraisa.
But
yeah.
the D'Oraisa would be for a Zava, not for a Niddah.
For a Zava, right.
So he would then...
It's a chashash, that's what he says, it's a chashash D'Oraisa, right. That's all. Yeah.
But the chashash D'Oraisa would be a chashash based on Zava, not a...
Right. Yeah, sure. So that will be the difference. I mean, that's the nafkamina. The Ramah, very important Ramah, that says Yesh Oimrim Shebeshloisha Yomim Rishonim Sheyimei Asfira, the first 3 days of the counting. In Matzah Ketem, let's say she found a ketem, a stain. She didn't see any more blood during the Shiva Nekim, but she found a stain. Now remember about Hilchos Ksomim? We have all kinds of possibilities of being toile, of attributing the ketem. Oh, this must be from a bug. This must be from
exercise.
From all kinds of situations. I went by the butcher and right. Remember that toilet. No, but that but that could have brought out mamash dam. Here we're talking about a ketem which is not a concern, whether it's tummy or not. That we can be toilet sometimes, even an amaka, right? Ramah says a very interesting halacha here. He says even though we are toilet ksomim. Shloisha yomim rishonim shel yimei asfira imotzo ketem en toilin oiso lehakel kemo shetoilim shar ksomim. You're not going to attribute ksomim during the first 3 of the 7 days. Remember, the Mechaber didn't mention anything about that. The Sfardim do not have this halacha. This is an Ashkenazi, pure Ashkenazi chumrah, that during the first 3 days you cannot be toilet, just like you are toilet usually with ksomim.
So the first 3 days are more chumridic
than the rest. Yeah, I'm going to explain it in a minute. So the first 3 days were not toilet. Why? The Gimel Yom Rishon Tzrichim Yus Nekiyim Legam, they have to be completely clean. אבל אחר כך דינוי כשאר כתם, וכן לא יגיד.
And why 3 days and not 7?
I'll mention it in a minute. But after that, the din of the ketem is like any other ketem. If you could be toilet, fine. וכן לא יגיד. The dafka, he says, ketem shehu yoyse miki gris, it's larger than the gris, ve'oid, aber pochos miki gris, ve'oid, if it's very small, tole bekina, it could be lice, afilu gimel yom rishonim. Alright, so before we go on with the Ramah, this makor, the makor for this Ramah is in the Sefer HaTruma, the Mordechai also, it's brought down in the Beis Yosef, and the explanation given is that it's a svara. Misvara, it's mistaber, that even though she did a hefsek tahara, she checked herself, everything was okay, it could be that it's not completely, the mayan is not completely sealed. Until 3 more days go by. Then, if they're clean, then we make that assumption. Before then, yesh lochush, that, it's not completely clean, and therefore we're not toilet on any ksomim. That's the svara brought down. It's a svara. Alright. But what happens if there's a maka, an injury? Would that make anything different? So the Ramah says, Hu hadin im hoyolo maka begufo. The same deal would apply if she has a maka on her inside the body. The yodas, but she knows shemotzi adam, and she knows that the blood comes out. Toileba afilu yoyse migris. So with the maka, the din would be just like with the kes and pochos mikigris. So here the Ramah says that if in fact it is a maka, and she sees dam coming out, and she knows the dam comes out from it, On that she can be toilet even if it's bigger than a gris. Right? So kesem less than a gris or a makkah that she knows blood comes out from it, even if it's more than a gris, she can be toilet on it. Ela she'ein mekilim b'shlosha yomim v'shon litlos b'makkah she'ein yadua shemotzi adam. But we're not toilet on the makkah during the first 3 days if we don't know for sure that this makkah produces blood. Or if we want to attribute it to something else, we don't attribute that during the first 3 days. So here the Ramah seems to be lenient with the makkah when she knows that the makkah produces blood. Darche Moshe, he elaborates a little bit more on this din, and he says that the whole idea of not being toilet on in the first days is really is not meikar a din. You don't see other poskim bringing it down. And because of that, with a makkah, one for sure should be meikol. There's no reason not to. If the makkah is motzi adam. Shach, however, is machmer, even with a makkah. Halacha, some are machmer like the shach, and some are like the chokmas adam. The chokmas adam is meikol like the ramah. So if you know that this makkah produces dam, you could be toilet on it even during the first 3 days. However, what's not clear from this Ramah is what about the din of dam that you find in the bdika itself? We just said the halacha would be on a kesem that is larger than gris, that we would be machmer during the first 3 days, and that if there would be a makkah, we would be meikol, right? What happens if this is not a kesem that you discover, but it's in the bdika itself? Now, remember, when a woman checks herself, it's much more serious than if she just discovers something on her clothing. That means she actually inserted something inside of her. She can't say this came from the butcher. When you insert something into your body, I mean, where else did it come from when you see it on the aid? So from the Ramah, even though we're meikol, with the dam makkah, for example, it's not clear if we're also going to be meikol in dam that is found in the bdika. So from the Darche Moshe, it's mashma that he would be machmer in such a case, because you're actually finding it in the bdika. There's a chashash d'oraisa when you're checking yourself. But regular stam ksomim is always the rabbanon. So maybe because of that, there's more of a kula. So the Achronim discuss this difference between bdika versus just discovering a kesem. The Shevet HaLevi pretty much concludes that if there's clear proof that the dam that is on the aid of the bdika is coming from a makkah, that you can be lenient.
What was that again?
The Shevet HaLevi says that, if there's clear proof that this dam that is on the bdika, on the aid of the bdika, is coming from the makkah, if it's pretty clear that it's from there, you can be lenient, even though she checked herself internally. Remember, an internal check is always more serious than just discovering something. She's actually checking inside of herself. But if it's clear that it's coming from a makkah, then one can be lenient. The Sefer HaTruma, who discusses this halacha or this chumrah of the first 3 days, also says it's only michshash. We're choishes that maybe the mayan was not completely closed. So we see that it's a chumrah. So how much do we have to be machmir here? If it's a makkah, there's room to be lenient. However, there's another interesting situation, and that is what happens if a woman is unclean, not because of her period, but because of a ketem. A ketem that she's not toilet. Remember, she became unclean because of a real stain that renders her unclean. So here, what happens? She's going to anyway wait 5 days and 7 clean days. But here, do we say that the mayan is patuach? That the mayan maybe did not close? There was no mayan to begin with, perhaps. You see, this kind of a situation may be a little bit easier than if it's a real period where we are concerned. We know what? Maybe that mayan is still open. So the Achronim talk about this. When she's sitting Shiva Nekim because of a keten, what's her din? It could be that the whole chumrah of the first 3 days that the Ramah brings down here is only because she had a regular period and her mayan was patuach. Therefore, we're choishes maybe it wasn't closed. But with the kesem, there's no mayan that was patuach here. It was not completely patuach. So maybe we don't have to be machmir. So some want to say loy plug. We don't differentiate. The first 3 days are the first 3 days, whether she's sitting or whether she's counted because of a ketem, or whether it was for her regular period. But the Chochmas Odom is Meikel and the Ketem. And these leniencies are very important in all kinds of situations that we'll see later on, as far as the counting also. Counting the number of days after a Ketem versus counting after a period. If they're the same or not, whether one can be lenient more with a Ketem. What if her husband was away, and she was not with her husband right before she became a Niddah? Will that make a difference with the number of days as well? There's quite a few differences depending on what we're dealing with here. Whether we need to be machmir or we can be mekel in situations where there's a need to be mekel. So we have to consider the whole situation. So that is why this is somewhat of a consideration. If this is not her regular period, she's sitting all these days just because of a ketem, there's no chashash that the mind is still patuach. Maybe you can be more lenient, and sometimes there's a need. You can't just be machmir for every woman, poor lady, she's trying to become pregnant. This could make a difference, whether she becomes pregnant or not. You never know. So we do need to evaluate the situation carefully. So in the case of her being a nida as a result of a ketem, she may not have to be so machmir during the first 3 days. If she does find a ketem, as long as she can attribute it, she can be toilet that ketem on something, then it would be acceptable. Obviously, if you cannot be toilet, it's a problem. And that is why we said an internal check is more of a problem. But even an internal check, if she can attribute it to a makkah, we would be able to be lenient as well. Okay, we'll stop here.